Doomsday mom Lori Vallow Daybell goes to trial in Phoenix, Arizona on Monday, and she's serving as her own lawyer. She is charged with conspiring to unalive her estranged husband, Charles Vallow. And after this trial, she's facing another one in Arizona for her conspiracy or alleged conspiracy in trying to unalive Brandon Boudreaux, her niece's ex-husband. She was interviewed on Friday by Arizona's Family 3 TV. She appeared in an orange jumpsuit with a fully lacquered face. I have no idea where she's getting the makeup. I don't know if this is sort of some brand of prison makeup or jail makeup, created, concocted for items you find in jail. I don't know. The interviewer grilled her harder than Keith Morrison of Dateline did. Here's what Lori had to say in a nutshell. She's insisting on her right to a speedy trial because she says the jail in Phoenix is the worst one in the nation, according to her fellow inmates. She's also explained that prisons are nicer. For example, she is in the maximum security section of this jail with other women who are charged with crimes eligible for the ultimate punishment, if you know what I mean. According to Lori, they each have their own cell, and they spend 23 hours a day in that cell unless they're on lockdown, in which case they spend all 24 hours in the cell. And she has said that there was a lockdown that went on for 3 days. So that's 3 days without a shower, 3 days without getting out to get some exercise outside. Lori expressed concern that in the jail in Phoenix, if you have a dental problem, the only option they offer is to pull out the tooth. And she said that there are women there who are missing a whole bunch of teeth because they've been sitting there waiting for their trial because they waived their right to a speedy trial. And according to Lori, some of them have been sitting there for 5 years in that jail. I got the impression that she's almost desperate to get to these trials in Arizona and get them over with so that she can get out of the jail and avoid having her teeth pulled. Seriously, I really do. Apparently, they have better dental care in the prison in Idaho, where she is serving multiple consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole for the deaths of her 2 youngest children, J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan, as well as her role in conspiring to unalive Tammy Daybell, her husband Chad Daybell's first wife. Lori's current and maybe future purpose, according to her, is, quote, fighting for the women who waived their right to a speedy trial and are stuck living in a not-so-nice jail here in Phoenix. Lori sees herself now as someone who was put in the jail to uplift and help the other inmates, to teach fitness classes for them, even if they're stuck in their jail cells. She teaches them apparently through the bars. They're all in their separate cells, but they're doing whatever she's shouting out, I guess. She definitely wanted it known that she was a certified fitness trainer in the past and that she was also a hairstylist, and she charged a lot of money to do that, apparently. So in essence, she seems like she's okay with being incarcerated because she's found this new mission, if you will. We know that people who belong to the Mormon Church often go on missions to help other people. So now her mission, according to her, is to sort of make things better for the other inmates, I guess. Now, instead of fessing up to her role in conspiring to get rid of JJ and Tylee and Tammy Daybell, which she's already been convicted of, so she did it, okay? She claims she was wrongly convicted And she explains away all the brutal acts against the victims as, quote, a family tragedy. As she spins her story, her face is deeply furrowed. She's aged a lifetime since we saw images of her frolicking on the beach with Chad Daybell, her fifth husband, as he played the ukulele. She says this family tragedy, that it was all a domino effect of multiple things happening, multiple family tragedies, I guess. What convenient wording that is, right? She also says that she and Chad are still together, even though they're forbidden from having contact. So it's unclear if they are each calling somebody, sharing information, and that other person... I'm having trouble with my voice today. I apologize. They can each call somebody, and that person can convey what they said to each other. They can't speak or see each other. That's the way the rules go. And of course, Chad did receive the ultimate punishment for his role in these crimes, so he's not going anywhere either for a lifetime. And despite all those horrible things that were done to all these people and Chad's light and dark rating system, Lori insists that she loves everybody. She doesn't like to fight, she says. She stands up for the other inmates. She's a people pleaser. Those are her words. It's difficult to see someone so unwilling to admit to the truth. Now I can see how she danced around her son Colby's questions and why he's pretty much just cut off communication. You cannot get through to this lady. I heard Nancy Grace say the other day that Lori's daughter Tylee was pretty much reduced to a bucket of fat and tissue and bone, and that JJ was basically hermetically sealed in plastic. That is so graphic, but so true. This bubbly, blonde, charismatic lady has been party to acts so horrific that were such betrayals, particularly to her children. It's just crazy how she flutters around, she smiles, she seems like she doesn't have a care in the world, and now she's talking about her new role in life, lifting up women who are charged with equally awful crimes, I would imagine. When asked how she feels about representing herself, she admitted that she's stressed, but she's clearly relishing the thought of getting up in the faces of people who she says lied during her Idaho trials and maybe lied in interviews. Lori expressed wanting to be face to face with those people and to speak her mind. My fear is that she's going to further victimize people like J.J. Vallow's grandmother, Kay Woodcock. These people do not deserve any grief whatsoever beyond what's already been done to them and taken from them. And now Lori wants to get up in their face, look them in the eye, something she would not do when they read their victim impact statements. She said her lawyers in Idaho would not allow her to say what she wanted to say. And that's also one of the reasons she wanted to represent herself. However, I think if she goes off the rails and says really awful stuff to people like Kay Woodcock, maybe to her brother, I can't think of his name right now. Alex Cox is the one who died. Adam Cox will be testifying, both as a witness for the prosecution and the defense. And I'm sure she's not too happy with him because he was trying to do an intervention with her ex, well, he wasn't her ex, her now deceased husband, Charles Vallow. So she's not happy with Adam Cox either, and I'm sure she wants to get up in his face as well. Now, the trial starts on Monday, and she's saying that she's going to have to be up at 3 a.m., then she'll be sitting and waiting for the trial to begin, and on Monday, court begins at 10:30 a.m., and I'm hoping to be there. I don't know. I'm having some issues with my brother's health and my dad's health, but I really want to go. And Lori very matter-of-factly said that she is intelligent. She sees herself as a very intelligent woman. And I'm saying even if she's above average, she's going to struggle. She has a paralegal with her as well as an investigator, but they can only help her so much. She did admit to having a great life before everything went down in Idaho, despite hubby number 5 being on unaliving row, so to speak. I have to say that because of YouTube and TikTok, they have rules about certain terms. Lori says she and Chad are doing the best they can. And I wonder if Chad feels the same way, or if he is now over it and sees her more as a temptress who led him down a very bad path. Lori insists that she loves all of her kids. She also stated being happy with the jury selection in Arizona. There are 16 total jurors. 13 of them are men. The other 3 are women. 12 will actually sit on the jury, and the others will serve as alternates. And a lot of people are concerned that Lori is going to try to use her charisma and her looks on those 13 men. It makes total sense to me that she would want more men than women. I'm sure she's going to try this, but we have to believe that those men have their heads screwed on right and will not be swayed by her looks. The reporter also asked Lori if she's prepared for life behind bars. Lori replied, yes. My life is almost over. I'm 51. I have grandchildren. I had a great life for a while. I can't believe she's saying her life is over at 51. 51 is like the new 30, in my opinion. But I guess that's how she's looking at it and why she's okay with being in prison. She doesn't seem to be upset about it. She's taken it really well. If it were me, I would be climbing the walls. I would be taking a nail file and chiseling into the wall behind a poster, trying to create a tunnel. She certainly has many years in which to create such a tunnel, a la Shawshank Redemption. That's what I'd be doing. I would not be like, oh yeah, I just have a new mission in life and I'm going to be helping all these inmates. I want to go to the trial because I want to see her in person. I want to see if she gives off a certain vibe. I'm also curious to see if her mother, Janice, will be there, if her sister, Summer Shiflett, will be there, and how they will interact with her in terms of looking at each other, maybe mouthing words to one another. The experts are saying that she's going to be found guilty, that there's an overwhelming amount of evidence. So right after this trial, she's going to go on trial for the Brandon Boudreaux case. Again, he is the ex-husband of her niece, Melanie Boudreaux. I can't remember what her new name is. She's since been remarried. She won't be sentenced until after that second trial. Oh, and by the way, when she's in the courtroom, she's going to have to wear some sort of a belt or harness that is electrified and that gives out a shock if she moves in a certain way. She was trying to get out of that, and they're like, no, we're not going to do that. And I think that's a good plan because I think this lady has a lot of pent-up rage against Kay Woodcock in particular. because she wasn't too happy that Kay got the $1 million payout from Charles Vallow's life insurance. That money was part of Lori and Chad's plan for their future life together without her kids. I've always found it interesting that Chad's kids are all still alive and well. He wasn't willing to make them dark spirits, but he was very quick to make Tylee and JJ dark spirits. Guess he wasn't feeling any love for these children. Tylee already had a voice of her own. She was coming into her adulthood, and she didn't suffer fools. So I'm sure she saw right through Chad Daybell. Of course, she couldn't have seen the degree of criminality that her mother, her uncle, Alex Cox, and Chad Daybell, what they were capable of. I don't think she could have predicted that. Although I think she knew what really happened with Charles Vallow. I think she knew that was no accident, that was no self-defense on her uncle's part. I think she knew the truth about that. That was also problematic. And of course, JJ, I think Chad's view of JJ was that he was going to be a handful. He was going to take a lot of Lori's time, a lot of her patience. And I don't think Chad, as much as he was wooed by Lori, was willing to take on JJ and be a stepfather to that little boy. The whole case is so heartbreaking. I have nothing kind to say about Lori Vallow. I hope she gets what she gets. Until the next time on Bed Crime Stories, hey, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment, and I'll see you next time on Bed Crime Stories.